back when the world was young. They was our brothers. They ain't much to look at now. Too cold by half, and no fun at a feast. But they're fast, and they ain't forgotten how to kill. Lorehammer Library!
YHETEE are creatures of ice and frost. The pale pelts of the YHETEE make them hard to spot in the snowy landscape, and only when their shaggy hair is overly matted and speckled with blood are they easy to pick out. There is a strange and almost supernatural connection between the YHETEE and the high-altitude mountains themselves. Indeed, the YHETEE exude an aura of cold, so powerful that those attacked by them will find their limbs stiffened and joints frozen, making them easy prey for those fierce and feral predators. A large-scale attack by a whole pack of YHETEE is inevitably heralded by an avalanche, which the creatures trigger deliberately in order to trap their prey, before loping down the side of the mountain to claw out and devour their half-frozen victims. The YHETEE packs inhabit the highest slopes of many mountain ranges, but are particularly common amongst the mountains of Morn, and the place of their birth, the towering peaks of the ancient giant holds. There, the roof of the world, the YHETEEs survive by preying on the beast herds that dwell alongside them. They are powerful and can sprint as fast as an armored horse. Because of this, they are usually used by an ogre tyrant, in much the same way cavalry are in other armies, to deliver swift attacks on weapon points in the enemy line, and to help pursue a defeated opponent from the battlefield. With their sheer brute strength and ferocious nature, YHETEEs can smash a hole in any enemy battle line, or maul any opponent that dares to stand up to them. YHETEE have developed long fused claws that are the natural equivalent of climbing pittons, with dew claws on the back hinge, allowing them to climb features other races could not negotiate. A blow from a YHETEE's iron-hard claws rips off limbs and heads with ease, and they are also ideal for quickly digging out half-frozen victims buried by snow and ice. Even with their deadly claws, a vestige of ogre-like behavior does remain in the YHETEE's ancestry to ensure that they still use clubs of a sort, fashioning ice weapons by the same expedient method of snapping a bough from a tree and breathing pure cold onto it until it resembles a massive ice-encrusted club. Dominant YHETEEs sometimes use pairs of these, smashing apart anything in their path. The YHETEE that spend too much time in the lowlands, to them anything not above the cloud line, become lethargic and sickly, and will begin to wither beneath the hot sun. For these reasons, once their obligation to the ogres is complete, the YHETEE will lope back to their mountainous lairs. It is not uncommon for an ogre tribe to include some YHETEE amongst its ranks. How or why the YHETEEs are convinced to fight alongside the ogres is a subject of much speculation. Some scholars suggest that YHETEE are a remote offshoot of the ogre species dating back to the Big Migration. Others theorize that the YHETEE owe the ogres a great debt from somewhere in their distant past, even before they evolved into creatures of ice and snow, and hence their habitual reply to the ogre's summons to war is one of their ancestral honor rather than any kind of learned response. Perhaps this is something to do with the war in the heavens between the ogres and giants. But whatever the truth of the matter, an ogre tyrant is able to summon YHETEE to war by a blast on the great horn, a huge curling tusk taken from the largest ice mammoth killed by the tribe. The acoustic qualities of this horn twinned with the mighty lungs of the ogre sounding it, send the blast echoing into the peaks of the mountain range. Riding great avalanches of snow, the YHETEE will enter the ogre kingdoms, ready for the great hunt that is open war. Those who travel the mountain passes know the threat posed by these savage packs of creatures. Living above the tree line, YHETEE are hairy, ape-armed humanoids with ravenous hunger for flesh. With their pale fur and penchant for lurking buried in the snowdrifts that cap the highest mountains, YHETEE stalk unseen while keeping a wary watch over highland paths. When their quarry is spotted, perhaps armed convoys daring passage over the high passes, or herds of creatures such as rhinocs or ice mammoths, the YHETEE surround the prey and trigger an avalanche. Tons of snow plunges down the mountainside, closely followed by the loping YHETEE, who can scale sheer cliff faces and negotiate steep drops at speed. With their foes crushed by rocks and snow, the YHETEE dig out their half-frozen victims using their talons and lop off limbs and heads, soaking the snow with blood. Some YHETEE use crude clubs, encrusted with blocks of ice, and those are the perfect instrument with which to batter foes to a pulp. The few that survive such attacks claim that the YHETEE themselves are forms of Ice Witch,